All right. So welcome everyone. Very happy that you're here. I'm Shannon Chernick. I'm the outdoor play coordinator with Sask Outdoors. And we are delighted that we just received funding from the government of Saskatchewan to lead the outdoor play movement in Saskatchewan for the next year, I guess. So one of the things we want to do is have lots of great workshops where we can encourage people to spend time outside. So the workshop today, we're hoping, is going to do just that. People that don't know, Sask Outdoors is a professional network through the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation, but we're kind of expanding the mandate broader now so that we can take on outdoor play. And these are all of the great things that the organization is currently doing. There's lots of training opportunities. If you follow our social media, I'm posting lots of stuff about the benefits of outside and sharing information about fun things you can do outside. The next training workshop is called Growing Up Wild, and it's for teachers. And you can see there the date, it's on March 14th. And it's going to be online, so people from across the province can join if you're interested. We also are super excited. I'm working with Alfonso Bai, and he is going to be leading a workshop in Regina about Indigenous games and storytelling. And you can see information about there, and we have registration coming up for that as well. So he's going to be teaching participants how to play Indigenous games, and we're also going to provide all the materials so that they can go back into their own communities and teach those to other people. So yeah, you can, if you're interested in Sask Outdoors, you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram or join us as a member. So yeah, Sask Outdoors, just like it's brand new, 4 months ago, we took responsibility for the outdoor play working group. So we have lots of awesome volunteers helping us to work on that, and I'm the coordinator for that. So our idea for outdoor play, we think outdoor play is at like the center of like the best activity you can do. So outdoor play, the research shows that if kids play outside, they actually move twice as much as when they play inside. And there are so many benefits to nature play and to being outside. I won't get into all of that. That's a whole other workshop. And there's amazing benefits from risky play. When I was a kid, I just would go outside and climb a tree, but now there's a word for it. They call that risky play. These are the things that we're generally a little more afraid to let kids do nowadays, but they're extremely, extremely important for proper, for children growing into their bodies and learning how to move and all of those different things. So yeah, my job is to just like inspire people to get outside. So there's a little bit of, that's kind of what I said there. The one fact that I will share is that we are so scared to let our kids play outside in their own neighborhoods, but the likelihood of a child in Canada being kidnapped by a stranger is 1 in 14 million. Which is literally the same odds as winning the lottery. So it is probably not going to happen. There are ways to let kids be out in their own yard or out in their own neighborhood or exploring lots of ways to stay safe. And that's why I'm delighted that Brian is here to teach us about that. This is we're doing a lot of social media around inspiring people to get outside. So this is what some of our posts look like if you check out Sask Outdoors on social media. At the end of the workshop, we have a $50 gift certificate to the Outdoor Learning Store. And at the end of the workshop, I'm going to randomly pick someone from the audience to give that to. There are some amazing resources on that through the Outdoor Learning Store. I would encourage everybody to check out what's available for purchase there. And all the money, it's a nonprofit, so all the money actually goes to support like communities and schools that can't afford the equipment. The proceeds go towards that. So I also want to acknowledge I am currently on Treaty 4. I'm in Regina, Saskatchewan, and that's the traditional lands of the Cree, the Saulteaux, the Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota, and also the homeland of the Métis Nation. I do land-based learning for an organization called Nature Regina, and I also work for Sask Outdoors. And so I think when we're sending our children outside and providing opportunities to be on the land, it's extremely important to just kind of recognize and understand, yeah, the lands that we are sharing now. So I always kind of, that's my, I guess, my treaty for acknowledgement. So on to the good stuff. I'll stop talking now. So Adventure Smart it's a national program, and it's all about trying to get Canadians to head outside safely in their own communities. And I can't see Brian anymore, but I'm assuming I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to give him a minute. Oh yeah, there you are. Okay. So now you can get yours ready. So Brian is joining us from Saskatoon Search and Rescue. And he is going to be, I think I asked the question there about what some people are hoping to get out of the workshop. So we had learn fun things from my classes, safe play, encouraging outdoor activity, and safety in the great outdoors, just so you have an idea of that. If you have questions during the workshop, please pop them into the chat, because we're going to have a Q&A session just after, like if you have specific questions about being outside. So Brian, thank you so much for joining us. Brian is a volunteer, so I'm extremely grateful that he's joining us tonight, and I'm gonna send it over to you.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with everybody here. Hopefully you can all see that now. Like Shannon said, my name is Brian. I'm with the Saskatoon Search and Rescue Team, and I work with the Adventure Smart people in helping all sorts of folks, new Canadians, younger kids, learn how to play safe outdoors. If they want to go out hiking or boating or fishing or just playing in the backyard or whatever, there's so many different ways that we can find safe ways to do this. So I like talking to lots of different groups about all these different programs that we offer. So first, I'll just talk a little bit about myself. So like I said, I'm with the Saskatoon Search and Rescue Team. Chances are good that you're going to have a search and rescue team near you, wherever you're living. So there is search and rescue teams all over Canada. Typically, they wear something kind of like this, where they've got orange or yellow, and they've got a crest on there, and it says the search and rescue team on there. So if you're in trouble and you see somebody like this, don't hesitate to go up to these people and ask them for help. That's what they're there for. That's what we do. We help people out. Sometimes we're helping people out at parades. Sometimes we're out in the bush helping people get safe from difficult situations. But we're usually always available. So anytime you see us, go ahead and talk to us. That's fine. I'll talk a little bit about the programs that we offer to start with. So for the younger groups, the 5 to 8-year-old kids, we have something called Hug a Tree and Survive. This is a great program for a lot of younger kids to learn what to do if they're out adventuring and maybe they get lost. It also helps them prepare for that. What should they take with them? We talk a little bit about some of the supplies that they should take with them, something that we call taking the essentials, the 10 essentials. So we can go over that in more in depth if I'm doing a presentation with you. If you wanted to reach out to your local search and rescue team, they can show you a little bit about what the 10 essentials are, what you should take with you when you're going out camping or hiking or whatever you're doing. We also talk about Paddle Smart. If you're going to go out and do some boating, we're not going to show you how to use a boat, but we show you how to be safe in a boat. We show you what to take with you so that you can be safe if you get lost, if you get stranded, whatever. There is some snow safety education. So for some new Canadians who aren't familiar with our winters out here, we show you all kinds of things about snow safety, how to dress in layers, that sort of thing, how to identify frost nip and frost bite, what the difference is between hypothermia and hyperthermia, and why that's important to know. We also talk about survive outside. So that's for some of the older groups when we want to talk to some of these kids that are 13 to 18 years old. Maybe they want to know a little bit more about first aid. What should they bring with their first aid kits or in their kits with them so that they can band-aid up some boo-boos or something to that effect, right? And the survive outside could also be geared towards some summer stuff and some winter stuff. Sometimes it's learning how to start a fire. If you get lost and you want to keep warm and dry, you need to know how to start a fire. So sometimes, you know, for some groups, the older groups, we'll show you guys how to start a fire and how to survive in the wilderness for a couple of days. Also, too, we talk about, again, the winters and how to stay warm and dry in the winters. And then we've got some snowmobiling safety as well. So there's lots of different programs here that we offer for all kinds of age ranges. If you're young or old or whatever, and you just want to learn some more stuff about going out and having fun, feel free to reach out to your local search and rescue team, and they can help you with that kind of stuff. One of the things that we talk about is something called the 3 T's. So that is, sorry, I lost my mouse there. So we talk about trip planning, training, and taking the essentials. So I did already mention taking the essentials. Sometimes that means packing up a bag with a flashlight or a whistle. Those would be essential things. Also extra water, maybe some snacks, an extra pair of gloves in the wintertime or something like that. Those are sort of the essentials that you can take with you. And like I said, there's 10 essentials that you can have in your backpack to keep you safe, warm, and dry. If you do get lost, or if you're out adventuring and maybe you get stuck, or you just want to take a break, lots of stuff that you can take there. Trip planning, I'll go a little bit into that. We do have a trip plan that I can show you. And then there's training. So again, you always want to make sure that you know the proper way to use a boat or a snowmobile or whatever you're going to be using if you're going to go out and adventure outdoors. So make sure that you get the proper training. We don't always offer the proper training as the search and rescue team, but we show you where to find it. So one of these proper training skills is making a trip plan. So if you haven't ever heard of that before, a trip plan is basically a plan for your trip, where you're going to go and how you're going to get there. This is going to tell people where you're going and how long you expect to be there. So the biggest problem that search and rescuers face is trying to figure out where you've been if you're already lost. The world is huge. It's huge, and trying to find you is so difficult. But if you make a trip plan, now we know where to start and we know where you're going to go. So that helps us narrow down the area significantly so we can really try to help find you guys. And it makes it way faster that way. So this is kind of sort of the things you can see in a trip plan. First off, like I said, where are you going? Who's going with you? Where do you expect, where do you want to end up? How long are you going to be out there for? When do you think you're going to get home? And when is it safe for somebody that's worried about you to call the police? One of the big myths about missing people, everybody seems to think that you have to wait 24 hours or even 48 hours before you can call the police for a missing person. And that's just not true. So if you think that somebody's missing, if you have reason to believe that somebody may be injured or hurt or in a vulnerable state, call the police right away and get the search and rescue teams looking for them right away as soon as possible. The sooner the better. Don't wait 24 hours. Don't wait 2 hours. If you think somebody's missing and you think they're in trouble, call the police and get help right away. Make your trip plan so that the search and rescue team knows where to look for you, how to look for you, all that kind of stuff. See if I can get backed out of this window here. What did I do? I think I made a boo-boo here. So anyways, also with the trip plan, like I said, there's taking the essentials. So what would be the essentials? One of them, like I said, would be a whistle. And these whistles, these are really cool. They're super loud. They're really, really loud. So we don't play with them. They're not toys. These are for emergencies only. They're specially made to make a lot of noise so that searchers can hear you from a long, long ways away. Another thing that you can put in your safety kit is whoops, it's kind of hard to see there. It's packed up in this itty bitty pack. Wow, that's hard to see. But this is an emergency blanket, and it's actually sort of looks like tin foil, but it keeps your body heat really close to you. These emergency blankets can be really great, even in really, really cold weather. So they're the perfect thing to sort of take with you. Also, if you get lost and you want to use the sun to maybe get help from a pilot or an airplane or something like that, you can use one of these flashy cards and it can reflect the sun, and maybe you can get some help that way. Making yourself visible is one of the things that we talk about. Another thing that we have here is sort of a gauge so that you know how thick the ice has to be for you to be able to walk on it, and for how thick it has to be for you to be able to drive on it, and all sorts of things. So there's a lot of things that we can talk about. Like I said, there's also flashlights, extra food, extra water, whistles. You can take some waterproof matches if you need to make a fire. Make sure that you talk to your parents first. You shouldn't be having matches if you don't know how to safely handle matches. So make sure that you talk to mom and dad first. In these programs, we've also got some videos that we can share with people. One of these videos is about a boy named John who went for a hike and got lost. And so if you want, we can share the video and show you what happens with John and what happens when he gets lost. It's not too scary. It's pretty cool. It's quite a bit of fun. Lots of the 5-year-olds and the 6-year-olds that I teach like to see it. So if you want, we can show that. Shannon, I'm not sure if you've got time. It is a bit of a 20-minute video, so there's a bit of length there, but you can let me know if you think we should play that for the folks here. And then questions, if anybody wants to speak up and ask some questions, go ahead.
There is a question in the chat about what are the whistles called, or what type can people look for?
Tough to say. It really is tough to say what type to look for. So these ones are Fox 40. That's a specific brand. Fox 40 does make a really good, like I said, they're a super loud, man, that's hard to, they're a super loud whistle. These ones come right from Adventure Smart. So if you get a presentation from one of your local search and rescue teams, sometimes they will include some of these whistles in a kit that we give to the younger kids, so that they've got some of these essentials to pack into their packs already. So one of the ways that you could get that is by getting a presentation with one of the search and rescue teams, or you can go to any of your outdoor stores like Cabela's or something like that and pick yourself up a whistle. A Fox 40 whistle is, like I said, that's that brand name, super loud one. What else do we have for questions?
I think that was it for now on the chat.
Okay,
but if
great.
people have others, they can pop them in there. Yeah.
There's also some things in the Adventure Smart kit for the parents to sort of get their familiarity with their local search and rescue teams, where they're at, where they're from, what kind of other things they offer. So like I said, in these in some of these training modules, we talk about what to do on land and water, what to do in the winter, all that sort of thing. So we can really dive into all sorts of extra stuff here. Do we want to check out that Hug a Tree safety video?
Yeah. Why don't, there's one more question, and
Sure.
then why don't we look at that? So do you, and this was a question I was going to ask too, because I have children this age. Do you have tips for lower elementary age kids adventuring around their own neighborhood? So what would your tips be for that? Yeah.
So we always want to make sure that we tell kids not to talk to strangers. even though they seem really, really friendly, and sometimes they might even have toys or treats for you, we don't want to talk to strangers ever, because that could be kind of scary. Some strangers are not good people, and some of them are, but you just can't tell the difference. So it's always a good idea to talk to mom and dad if there's somebody out there that wants to talk to you. If you're out playing in your neighborhood, it's definitely okay to talk with kids, play with kids, stay close to home. Don't go too far away from home, because then it gets really hard to find you. So make sure that you're sticking around, and always tell mom and dad where you're going, right? That's the biggest thing. If it's not mom and dad, maybe it's auntie and uncle, grandma and grandpa, somebody that you trust. Has to be somebody that you trust. Tell them where you're going. Even a trip plan can be as simple as telling them where you're going. You've already given them a trip plan. You don't have to write up a huge thing that you've got online. Sometimes it can be just a matter of saying, hey, mom and dad, I'm going to go outside and play with the neighbor. I'll be out there for a little while. You know where to find me. And then check in lots. Check in all the time. If you're not sure, check in. Talk to mom and dad. It's good to make sure that you have open communication with your parents or your guardians or whoever's taking care of you, maybe a babysitter or something like that.
Great. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has other questions about that. I like that idea of a trip plan. It's like, it's not complicated.
Yeah, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I know when I was a kid, you just kind of go out and be gone all day. But yes, probably checking in would have been a wise choice back in the 80s too.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely good to check in. Yeah, do you want to try the video? I'm not sure how if it'll work or not, but I think it's
It
worth
might be a little laggy, I guess, for some folks,
Okay.
but we'll give it a shot and see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah.
See if I can make this full screen.
Hi, my name is Erin, and I'm a search and rescue volunteer. I'm here today to tell you a story about a boy named John. He got lost in the woods and hugged a tree to survive. John had looked forward to this camping trip with his parents and sister Emily for weeks. He and Emily helped to set up the camp, but John just couldn't wait to start exploring. Anybody hungry? I'm hungry. Great, I'll make lunch. You can look around until it's ready, but don't go too far. Okay. John started on his short walk before lunch. He knew better than to take off alone into the woods, and John also knew to always tell an adult where he was going. But that day, he was just too excited. Plus, he wasn't planning on going far. John went further and further into the woods, never realizing how far from the campsite he was getting. John forgot everything he learned about safety in the woods. He was too busy checking stuff out to pay attention. He didn't even look for landmarks like large trees or rocks or hills to help him find his way back to the campsite.
Wow, is it ever hot out? Which way is the campsite? Is it down there? No, it couldn't be. It's this way. Oh no, I don't know where it is. Good move, John. You didn't even tell Mom and Dad where you were headed. My parents warned me about this. They said it could happen to anyone. Well, it's happening to me. Mom! Dad! Where am I?
John was all alone in the woods. The bush was thick, too thick to see through and too high to see over. At first, John panicked. He started to run, wearing himself down and going farther away from the campsite. It was the worst thing he could do. But he didn't keep running. If he did, he would have gone further away and might have tripped and hurt himself. Instead, he stayed put and hugged a tree, which kept him in one place and easy to find. A tree is a safe place to be if you are ever lost in the woods. So hug a tree and stay put. Your tree will shelter you, help you feel better, and keep you in one place so that you can be found. You can hug it, lean against it, or sit by it. A tree can help you stay put so that you can be found faster. John was safe. He was doing the right thing, making himself comfortable beside his tree. John knew that by now his parents would be worried about him. Just as John thought, his parents called the police soon after he missed lunch. A search was being organized with a local search and rescue team. John's parents spoke to the search manager, telling him what John looks like and what he is wearing.
Which way did he go?
I think he went that way.
So that way?
She really didn't know which way John went. Nobody knew. John forgot the first important thing, to tell an adult where he was going.
Hello, everyone. I'll be your search manager today. We're looking for a 9-year-old boy. His name is John. He's wearing blue jeans, a red jacket, black ball cap, and size 6 running shoes. He has a backpack with some food and water, a whistle, and an emergency shelter.
The searchers are trained professionals. They really care about you and your family.
John! John!
The searchers looked everywhere.
John!
Searchers will be yelling your name.
John!
Because they are yelling really loud, they may sound like they are angry, but they are not angry at all. No one will be angry that you're lost. They only want you back safe and sound. They will be very happy to see you. The sun began to set, and John started to feel cold. So he gathered some small branches and dry grass to put between him and the ground to keep warm and dry. Then John put his jacket on, and he zipped up and tucked in to help stay warm. Then John took his emergency shelter out of his backpack.
Okay, I'm going to wrap the emergency shelter around me. The shelter will keep moisture out and heat in. Now I am warm and dry. What was that? I'm scared. There it is again. No, wait, it's probably just a small animal moving around. They sure can make a lot of noise. Even if it's something big, it will be scared of me. I'm bigger and I smell like a human. That means danger to them. If it's something big, I'll blow my whistle at it good and hard. That will scare it away. Plus, people will be looking for me by now, that's for sure. If I blow my whistle, that will help them find me right here, safe by my tree.
Throughout the night, everyone kept looking. A person searching for you at night might look or sound scary, crashing through the bush and calling out your name. But they are there to help. The searchers looked through the night, but still could not find John. The next day, more people joined the search. John used his whistle to attract attention. A whistle is louder than your voice, and it takes less energy to use when you are tired. John blew his whistle 3 times, waited, and then did it again. This is the signal for help. You can repeat this until you are found. But the searchers were not close enough to hear John. Sometimes a helicopter is used to help search because it can cover more ground than people searching on foot. If possible, choose your tree by a small clearing so searchers in a helicopter can see you more easily. But don't go too far looking for a clearing. It's better to stay put. John knew how to be heard with his whistle and also how to be seen. He left clues for the searchers. John gathered branches to make a big X close to his tree. Other things John could have done to be seen are putting rocks together to make a large SOS. Or if the ground is soft, dragging your foot in the dirt or using a stick to make an SOS. A large arrow could be made pointing to John's tree. While that might not look like much, to ground searchers or a pilot, it's like a big neon sign saying, "Here I am." From the ground or from the air, bright clothes are easier to spot. We put John in a dark coat to show how hard it is for a pilot to see him. Now, John has a red coat on. See how much easier it is to spot John from the air? You're also easier to spot if you make yourself big. You can do that by lying down with your arms and legs spread out, but it may not work in tall grass. Movement also helps searchers see you. It's a good idea to wave your shelter or bright-colored coat. If you are spotted by a helicopter rescue team, first make sure that they see you. Then go back to your tree and wait. If the helicopter lands, crouch down facing your tree. Cover your face to protect it from flying debris. Then wait by your tree until a rescue team member comes to get you. These people are experienced trackers. They're looking at footprints to see if they might be John's. It's one of the ways they can tell which way John went.
Search base, this is tracker team.
This is search base. Go ahead, tracker team.
Our location is 14 uniform 06.
By 55, 23, 942. We've discovered some footprints that match the child's shoes.
Roger, tracker team. We'll send a search and rescue dog to your location.
A search and rescue dog is sometimes used to help with the search. To alert the search team, it might bark loudly if it finds you. Don't be afraid of the dog's barking. The dog, along with the searchers, are there to help find you. The rescue dog joined in the search to help find John, and it wasn't too long before they were getting close to where John was hugging his tree.
John! John!
John heard the searchers and blew 3 blasts on his whistle, over and over again so the searchers could hear him. He also waved his shelter so they could see him.
John, I'm so glad we found you.
I'm so happy to see you guys.
Us too. Are you okay? You able to walk back with us to camp?
Yeah, I'm okay. I can make it.
Okay, I'm just gonna call it in.
Search base, this is tracker team.
Search base. Go ahead.
We've located the boy.
He is alive and well. We are bringing him back to base.
Copy, that's great news. I'll let the parents know.
Mom!
John,
Mommy, I missed you.
I missed you too. You've scared me. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
John might have been found faster had he told an adult where he was going or not started running as soon as he realized that he was lost. But after he got over his panic, John did the right thing and was found because he used his head and remembered what he was taught. Hug a tree and stay put. Keep warm and dry. Help searchers by answering their calls. John was found safe and sound because he remembered and used his Hug a Tree and Survive training. John loves camping, and he and his family will camp again.
So there you go. That's the story about John. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Can't see any questions, but I'm sitting here with my 2 kids on both sides, and we go outside all the time, and I'm like, oh man, I've never taught them that. So thank you. That's great. Yeah.
So yeah, there is some really great stuff. There's other videos in the other programs as well too. So we've got some videos with snowmobiling and snowboarding and stuff like that. How to stay warm and dry in the winter elements and that. So there's a lot of other things that we can cover with groups that want to have some discussions to help teach young kids. Sometimes we talk to Cub Scouts or Girl Guides. Sometimes we go to schools. So like I said, talk to your local search and rescue team and ask them about getting some Adventure Smart presentations.
There was a question about that video. Is it on the website? Did you?
Absolutely, yeah. So
Yeah, I thought so, yeah.
So I'm currently using the Adventure Smart website. If you go to adventuresmart.ca, you'll come to the same website and you can find all of this stuff here. It's all available to anybody that wants to see it. So you can see all the different programs that we offer. You can, you can watch all these videos or even show these videos to a group of kids if you want to. It's all available at adventuresmart.ca. Also, the trip plans are available at adventuresmart.ca, and you can get the trip plan app or the AdventureSmart app on your phone, so you could make a trip plan super easy on your phone too. So there's all sorts of ways to make sure that you're staying safe.
And so it's called the AdventureSmart Trip Plan app. If people are trying to get that, you can see that there. Does that sound right, Brian?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, does anyone, oh, here's a great question. What if someone is hurt? Should the other person go for help?
You should try to stick together if somebody gets hurt. So again, when we talk about taking the essentials, sometimes the essentials is a first aid kit. So you can stay with your buddy, help them learn first aid. That's one of the trainings from the 3 T's that I talked about earlier. One of those trainings is training on first aid. Take the essentials, the first aid kit, and now you can help your friend or your sister or brother or whoever. You can help patch them up, but stay with them, stay together, and wait for searchers. That was a really great question.
Oh, sorry, there's another question. Can you talk about different things you might pack, like a packing list for a weekend afternoon hike, or out of town for a family, or if you're going on a class walk to a nearby park? And then you mentioned something about 10 items. So what would those be?
Yeah, so the 10 essentials, like I said, there's things like a whistle. You want to make sure that you've got a whistle so you can make lots of noise. You might want to get a flashlight. That's one of the 10 essentials so that you can see at night. Pack extra batteries because you can't always trust those batteries to stay good all the time. Water, always have water. It takes up to 2 liters of water for every person. Every person drinks 2 liters of water in a day. That's a lot of water. So you want to make sure you've got as much water as you can. Pack snacks because it takes a lot of energy to go hiking, or sometimes when you're scared, you're panting a little bit or breathing real heavy. That takes a lot of energy, and you want to make sure you got some snacks to keep your energy up. Sometimes you can pack waterproof matches, like I said, but only if mom and dad say it's okay, and only if you've been trained on how to make proper fire and be real safe with matches. Sometimes you can take a pocket knife or a camping knife. Again, you need to make sure that mom and dad say it's okay, and you need to make sure that you've been trained on how to use those things. So that's a great thing that the Cub Scouts or Beavers tend to do. They'll help you, show you how to use a pocket knife to maybe whittle some wood or build a fire or something like that. Toilet paper. Anybody think about toilet paper? Yeah, you might want to bring some toilet paper. Sometimes you have to go to the go to a potty. It's good to have some toilet paper. We talked about a first aid kit. It doesn't have to be a very big first aid kit. Sometimes just a couple of Band-Aids, some gauze, what they call a triangle bandage or a triangular bandage. It's a very big bandage for maybe putting your arm in a sling if it's really hurt. So we can take, what else? Oh, I'm kind of coming up blind. And actually, so it is, I believe, somewhere in here. The 10 essentials is somewhere in here, I'm pretty sure. Let's see if I can get a little help with this, because I just can't remember all that stuff. That's so much stuff to remember. The 3 T's. Here's the essentials. Let's see if this comes up with something helpful for everybody. Uh-oh, it's not working. There we go. So like I said, flashlight. Whoa. Waterproof matches or a lighter, maybe fire starter or a candle. Candles can be super good. A whistle, like I said. extra food and water. Got to have lots of water. So it says here 1 liter per person. I guess 2 liters is for an adult. 1 liter is for maybe for kids. Extra clothes, yeah. So you can have a jacket, a windbreaker if it's summertime or something like that. Maybe an extra pair of gloves in the wintertime. All sorts of different clothes. A toque, bring a toque. A day like today was a great day for maybe just going out with a hat on or something like that. But then as the sun goes down, it gets colder and you want to have a toque. Navigation, compasses, GPSs, if you're familiar with GPSs, but a compass is a great tool. Learn how to use those compasses too. So take some training, like I said. A first aid kit, like I mentioned, is a super good thing to have. Those emergency shelters that John had and that I showed you, the emergency blanket, those are super good. A pocket knife, like I said. Some sun protection. Yeah, it's not always wintertime. Sometimes it's summertime. So sunglasses, a hat, some suntan lotion, all that sort of thing. So there's all the different things that you should be taking with you. Again, super easy to find on that website. So go ahead and check out that website for all those things that you need to have. These don't have to be expensive items either. You can get real cheap ones and they work just the same. So you can pack that in your backpack, take it with you. And then you're going to make sure that you've got all the things to keep you safe and warm and dry if you get lost out there. So really good questions. Thanks for asking that. That's good stuff for everybody to learn tonight. Is there any more super questions like that?
There was another comment here just about if you don't have an emergency blanket, someone was told long ago to pack an orange garbage bag and put that over, like a poncho, because then that keeps the heat in.
You can, yeah. You have to be super careful because those plastic garbage bags can be a bit of a suffocation thing. So make sure that there's always an adult with you if you're going to use that sort of thing, or maybe just pack a rain poncho instead. You can get really small, flat rain ponchos that'll fit into a backpack really easily. So just be careful you're using the right stuff, the safe stuff.
Sorry, I can see comments, but then I'm trying to scroll. I can't quite get there. Someone keeps bread bags or boots to keep their feet dry, like in wintertime if you get lost. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. So you can't always pack an extra pair of rubber boots, but you could put some bread bags on your feet and then stick them back in your shoes, and then your feet will stay warm and dry. And that's super helpful. If you're wet and cold, you're susceptible to cold stress or hypothermia. That's another thing that we talk about, like I said, in some of these other Survive Outside classes, the difference between hypothermia and hyperthermia, and why it's important to know that stuff, how you can prevent that. And one of the ways to prevent that would be to have some bread bags to stick into your bag with you and put them on your feet so that you can stay warm and dry. You'll always hear me say warm and dry. That's super important if you're trying to keep yourself safe out there in the wilderness if you get lost or something like that. These are great questions. Keep coming with the questions. I'm loving this stuff. This is great.
Yeah, Leah suggested she packs his tarp because you can use them for all sorts of purposes. Probably even making a shelter if you are lost overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got the room for it, if you've got a big enough bag for it, you can pack a tarp. There's lots of different sizes of tarps. We don't need a gigantic one. Sometimes a little one will do for just keeping the rain off your head. Lots of searchers will pack tarps in their kits so that they can put a little bit of a protective shelter over somebody if they're sick or if they're hurt or something like that. So yeah, tarps are a great idea.
I think that's it for the questions for now. So.
Well, I hope everybody had fun. I hope that teaches a little bit of stuff. That just shows you just a small amount of all the different things that we can talk about in these presentations, the Survive Outside and the Hug-A-Trees and stuff like that. Like I said, this can be tailored to older folks, younger people, somewhere in the middle. It can be tailored to anybody. So there's lots of things out there to show you guys. So feel free to reach out, and we can have a presentation or a conversation about this kind of stuff and make sure that everybody stays safe out there.
Okay, now we have 3 more questions. We're going to keep you going, I think. There's a question, do you have any tips on encountering animals?
Yeah, absolutely. So like John did, he had a whistle, he blew the whistle, any kind of loud noise. So there was a really great story about a woman who played some really loud music on her cell phone, and the bear just went running away. Lots of times people tell you to play dead. That doesn't always work because there's different types of bears. Some bears don't want anything to do with dead things. So playing dead sometimes works. It's really hard to play dead when you're scared. You might be shaking. You might be, maybe you got an itchy nose. There's lots of reasons why it's really difficult to play dead. So it's not a great idea. You can stand perfectly still behind a tree because bears don't have very good color vision. They can't tell the difference between you and a tree. So if you stand beside a tree and stay perfectly still, they might not be able to see you. Sometimes they can smell you. So that's where the whole playing dead thing comes from. They try to play dead. It doesn't always work that well. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So have a whistle with you so you can blow that and they will run away. They don't like loud noises. So always find some kind of loud noise. You can even yell and scream and holler and they might run away, but do not try to run away. Bears are super, super fast. So are coyotes and stuff like that. So when you encounter wildlife, most of the time, they're really scared of you. All you have to do is just yell and scream and wave your hands and they're going to run away because they're scared of you. Don't approach them. Don't run away from them. That might entice them. That might make them a little bit scared and they might want to chase you down. So don't run away. Stay perfectly still beside a tree and they might think that you're a tree. Make lots of noise. Don't climb up a tree. Bears can climb up trees super easy. They're really, really good at climbing up trees. So don't try to climb up a tree. It won't save you. But use your whistle if you've got one. If you don't have one, find something super loud, make lots of noise, stand still beside a tree. And usually that tends to work. But most wildlife are scared of people. So you don't have to be scared of them coming at you right away because they're scared of you. So they're probably going to run away.
There's one more question about bears and then there's a bunch of other questions. So somebody said, I realize bears might not be your area of expertise, but I've recently heard that bear bells aren't an effective choice as a deterrent. Do you have any information about that?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Bear bells, that they're not an effective deterrent.
Yeah, they're not quite as loud as something like a whistle. So they're not a great deterrent. If you're an older person and you maybe have some firearm safety, I'm not telling you to bring a gun, but you can get bear spray or bear mace, carry that with you. Again, take some training on how to use that. You can, if you spray it into the wind and it comes back at you, that could be very, very bad for you because it won't affect the bear very much, but you'll have bear mace all over you and it's very, very nasty stuff. So you have to be careful about how to use it. Yeah, if you're an older person, you're a parent or a guardian, you can take some bear spray with you. Again, a whistle, just a simple whistle. It doesn't have to be a super expensive whistle. Most whistles aren't very expensive, so you don't have to worry about spending a whole bunch of money on all the top-notch gear. Just a whistle, that'll scare them away right away. But yeah, bear bells are not very loud. So I wouldn't rely on them. And again, like I said, there's different types of bears. Some bears are okay with dead people or dead things. They'll investigate dead things. Some bears don't like dead things, so they might go the other way, but it's tough to tell which bear you're going to encounter. So it's not always a good idea to rely on those types of tricks.
Thanks, that's great. The next question was, what is the most common rescue situation you encounter or things that we should be cautious of?
Usually we end up having to rescue somebody who's got what we call a cognitive disorder. Maybe they are an older person with dementia or Alzheimer's. Maybe they're a younger person with autism or something to that effect. And they are just known for wandering. They want to go out and see things just like anybody else does, but they're not always as safe or as conscious about certain things. So they can get themselves into danger a little bit easier than just you and I. So that's about the most common thing, is somebody with a cognitive disorder is the most common. And unfortunately, they can go for a long, long ways. So it can be difficult to catch up with them if we don't have a trip plan or something like that. So that's why it's always important to have a trip plan.
Yeah, thanks. So the next question was, anything to add for urban tips, like for cities and keeping kids safe?
Yeah, so again, you can pack a small kit. It doesn't have to be as big as something that you need for out in the rural areas. Maybe a compass or a GPS or a phone. Keep a whistle with you. Whistles are super handy. Lots of water. Always keep water with you. Just some simple stuff like that. You don't have to have 10 essentials. Maybe 3 or 4 will do you. Some snacks, some water, and a whistle. That could be lots for what you're doing when you're just out playing with some friends. If you can, carry a phone or something like that so that you can reach out to mom and dad if you get lost or something to that effect. Just a couple things. You don't have to have all the 10 essentials. Some of that stuff, you can even fit them right in your pockets. You don't even have to have a backpack with you.
Well, and I was thinking with my own children in the city that, you know, we actually go walk our neighborhood. And so, especially during the pandemic, they know the streets now because we spend a lot of time in our own neighborhood. And so they could probably walk the whole, we live in the south end of the city, and they know which street is where and how things intersect. So I think I think it's really important for kids to actually be out in their community with their parents, kind of teaching them where they are and where the places to go for safety are if they do get lost.
Yeah, so definitely, going out with your parents, going out with, with your older brothers or whatever, or older brothers or sisters or whatever. Get to know your neighborhood. Get to know your neighbors a little bit, because maybe if you're not right close to home and you encounter somebody who might be a little bit scary, maybe you can go to the neighbor's house if you know them really well, and you can get to use the neighbor's phone and call mom and dad or call a guardian or something like that. So like I said, this doesn't all have to be geared towards the younger kids. There's a lot of stuff that we can do for, like I said, for the older generations, new Canadians. We do some of the presentations for kids that are, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, whatever. And there's lots of stuff to learn about first aid and hypothermia and that sort of thing. So if there's questions about that, go right ahead. Perfect time to ask.
There's a question here about how to help kids get comfortable climbing trees or rocks safely.
It takes practice, I guess. It does take practice. So you can't always put a bunch of foam pads down. That's not the best way to do it. Unfortunately, they're going to have to get a bump on the knee. So carry a first aid kit so that you can bandage up those skin knees and just teach them that it's okay. But go out with them and show them how to climb a little bit. Maybe start on something smaller and then eventually work your way up. There's lots of those jungle gyms or parks. The local parks have all sorts of climbing things. Then you've got your local climbing places like Clip and Climb. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all, or if you've got that in your neighborhood or where you're living, but there is a lot of places like that have climbing walls and stuff like that. So maybe they can get more familiar with heights and using their hands and feet and stuff to crawl and climb. So those are lots of great places that you can go, and most of them aren't terribly expensive either. So.
Well, and are you okay if I add some climbing tips? Part of my job is to teach people how to climb trees. We did a social media post about this, and probably the most important thing when climbing trees is to teach kids to test the next branch. So you don't put all of your weight on one thing. You have 3 parts touching. So like you have a hand, 2 hands on a branch and a foot before you go on to the next one. And you can try to pull or put weight on the next branch. And if it snaps, then you clearly don't go any higher on that one. And then the other suggestion was that the branch should be the width or wider than the child's arm in order to hold their weight. I think fir trees are probably the safest because they basically have like a ladder built in. And, I think too that sometimes it's about parents' comfort level. The first time my tiny child started to climb up a tree, my parental anxiety, was like, okay, this is happening. But now they're like 11 and 13, and I know that they have the skills. So, and it's normal. It's okay to go with your parental anxiety and just like, okay, maybe that's high enough for now and we'll try again later. So yeah, that's some of the risky play stuff that Sask Outdoors we're trying to encourage and just teach people about, you can do these things with your kids. There's just ways of doing it a little safer. So sorry, I interjected there on that one. Sorry, there is another question about, do you do class presentations at a school?
Yeah, actually, I have done some class presentations at schools, and I've got another one booked on March 29th. I'm going to be going to one of the local schools around Saskatoon and talking to a bunch of, actually lots of different students there. They've got some kindergartners, they've got some grade 8s, they've got a wide variety of kids that we're going to be talking to. So there's a couple of different presentations that I'm going to show them. So yeah, I know that I do, again, talk to your local search and rescue team and see if they do it too. But typically, yeah, there's pretty much never a place where I'm going to say no.
Well, and I know from a source that you have done presentations at daycares and preschools too. So just so people know, it sounds like you're you're out meeting the community for sure.
Yeah, it's a great way to spread these awesome tips, and I get to learn lots of tips from some of these kids too, because some of them are super smart. So
yep, that's for sure. Yeah, awesome. I think we're just coming up on 8 o'clock, so I'm mindful of the time. A big, huge thank you to Brian for joining us. We really appreciate this. We're looking at the possibility of doing a back 40 workshop coming up. So people, if you just stay tuned to Sask Outdoors social media, you'll see a little bit of information about that. And then before people leave, I'm going to do a quick little pick somebody to win our thing. Brian, do you mind unsharing your screen, and then I can see the whole gallery? And I'm literally going to randomly point at my screen and pick someone. So someone named Catherine. Catherine, if you don't mind posting, I can probably find you on the registration list. But if you don't mind posting to me only, your email address, then I can make arrangements for that gift certificate for the outdoor learning store to be given to you. So before everyone leaves, I want to say just a huge, huge, huge thanks, Brian, because I know you're a volunteer. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. And yeah, we're trying to do more and more of this stuff. So thank you to everyone for being here and being interested and wanting to get your kids outside safely. This is fantastic. We want to see more of this. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Sharon, for inviting me. And thank you, everybody, for those great questions. That's a great way to learn, is to ask all those questions. So always keep asking those questions. And like I said, reach out if you want to have a presentation or if you have more questions.